Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the glass table for 2025. As you would have already seen, we've already got a video up of the top 10 players we predict for 2025. So first and foremost, go check that out. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce my co-host and the man that is, arguably the most biggest and most beautiful Saints supporter there is, Mr. Jared Thomas.
I feel like Jake from Saints TV might have a bit of a word to say about
Well, he's not here.
I mean, he's not here exactly, and I am, and it's very, very nice to be here. And I am, very, very happy to obviously be back. As you said, we've had a video already, which is very, very exciting. Top 10 players. We've had some nice feedback on that one already, which is good. We actually had some people agreeing on TikTok, which was very exciting. So that was nice. And then we had some people not agreeing. I believe the word was engagement bait.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? That actually pissed me off, right? Because if we'd have deliberately made it engagement bait, we would have put someone stupid there. But we didn't. We put a normal guy. We put a normal person at the top. It's not engagement bait. It's just a guy.
Quite literally. And then, a few Port fans will be watching as well. Some of them. But you can always tell the differences between engagement. And the people will do the same with the bold predictions video and the ones we get to now and the AFL season predictions every year. They'll do it all the same, but it's always different comments on different platforms. You go to TikTok are either toxic or agree with you. Simple. There's no middle. Then you go to Twitter, and there's normally, the general discussion and toxic. Go to Instagram, they're normally the best ones, but, sometimes you get the odd couple. And then Facebook, well, they're the over 60s, really.
I was going to say, Facebook, they don't know where the keyboard is, so it doesn't matter.
No. They just put love heart, and if they see the word, like, I don't know, for example, Travis spoke, they'll be like, double love heart, double smiley face, Bokey.
Go Travis.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Facebook is the classic. TikTok, I have found TikTok to be quite agreeable in a lot of times, which is actually quite good considering it's like a younger demographic kind of thing. But like we've had videos in the past where people seem to agree, but I get the feeling that with a couple of these bold predictions and everything like that, people are going to be slightly not upset, but they're not going to agree with the ones that we've picked.
I'm going to put a disclaimer out there now. This is a bold prediction. A bold prediction is something we might see happen. Don't necessarily think it will, but there is a possibility. And this is why we're putting it as a bold prediction. If it was a prediction, I'd be saying, I don't know, Port will finish fourth, which is arguably a safe bet. Well, not really because it's Port, but that's my point. You could say Nick Dacos is the top 5 player in the comp. It's as simple as that's a prediction.
That's barely a prediction. That is just saying a thing that exists. That's just saying a thing.
That's a general topic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a statement that you can say, and everyone will be like, okay, yep, fair enough.
So, got him. Yes. How about it? Love a safe prediction. But no, we're going bold, kind of like my head.
Yeah. Not quite bold.
Let's get straight into it, Jared. We're going to talk about our bold predictions this year. We've got 5 each. We're going to have ones that might be a bit left field and some you wouldn't see in mainstream media. And that's what we like to do here at the Glass Table. So if you are new, go check out our previous episodes. Have a look on the socials and as well, Spotify. Doesn't get a lot of love because people like to look at us more than listen to us. I mean, look at that.
Look at that. I was pointing at your side of the thing. I realize now that.
Do you know what, though? We both really just pointed at the viewers.
Yeah, look at you guys.
Anyway, let's look at our bold predictions for 2025. All right, Jared, let's go into our top 5 bold predictions for the year. As I've stated, these are just generally bold predictions, and we've heard the glass smash already, so let's get into it. What is your bold prediction for the year?
Now, for those long-time watchers and or listeners of our bold predictions, what I'm about to say will not come as a shock to anybody. And what I'm about to say is one of the most reliable statements that you could hear out of my mouth. And you know what? The last 2 years, I have picked this as a bold prediction, and I'm not backing down until it exists and until it happens in front of my eyes. And this might finally be the year. Ladies and gentlemen, Luke Beveridge will be the first coach to be sacked this season. There is always one, and I have picked the last 2 years, and it never happened. But I'm going for it this time, and I'm more confident than ever. Luke Beveridge will be the first coach to be sacked in 2025. That is my bold prediction. Everything is fitting that way. Everything is trending in the direction. I just saw not very like in the last little bit that the Dogs, like obviously they've had a lot of injuries and everything like that, and they look like they're going to start their year with a lot of players out and a lot of players not playing. I think this is going to finally be the year that the Dogs cut their ties with Luke Beveridge and say see you later.
I know a lot of people, and I like that bold prediction. It's very much I'm leaving it on the paper until we,
until we finally get there.
finally get it. But a lot of people have been living off in the last 10 years, he's a premiership coach. Well, that 10 years is getting further and further apart. We're now 2025. So like that one a lot. Definitely with a few coaches there hanging about. At the moment.
There is a few coaches thereabout that are on the rocks. Would say this is one of the first years in a long time where I've come into it being like, man, like half the coaches could be gone by like round 10. Like it's very, very bizarre.
It's and I think there's two front runners clearly, and it's obviously Luke Beveridge and I think Ken Hinkley as the two. And I honestly think I like your thinking. It's a bit of a Hawkeye, Scarlett Johansson type of vibe, who's going to die first type of thing. And you got to pick who's who,
One of them's got to go at some point, and it's whoever can drag their team to probably like a 2-8 start or a 3-7. And that's when I think the team goes, you know what? See you later. Off you go.
But no, very, very good. And my first one links directly with the Dogs as well. I listed it as number 4, but I'm bringing it up to 1 because I like the idea of keeping it as team-based. So mine's a bit more specific than Luke Beveridge being sacked, I think. And we've seen news across the last few weeks about this person. And I actually think, whilst he's a young boy, first number 1 selection, and not training at the moment, I'm talking about Jamari Ugle-Hagan, I don't necessarily think he'll play a lot of footy this year. And I think we've seen with a lot of... And I don't like to speculate on people's personal issues and players that's out of bounds, in my opinion. But I think he'll be traded at the end of the year.
Ooh.
He has just signed a 2-year deal that extends him to the end of next year. And that was just early last year. But I think with the issues happening, and whilst he's a Victorian boy, I think maybe it might be to do with the Dogs. And if he's staying away from footy, usually a place for people to go and relax and take their mind off everything is footy. So if you can't deal with that side of things, then maybe a new place, fresh start will occur. And going at this point, everyone's bloody linked to Geelong. So Jezza Cameron's coming to an end.
Could be a like for like. Could be just the straight sort of. I don't mind that at all. Obviously, yeah, like you said, there's obviously who knows sort of what's happening with Jamar and everything, and that's obviously him and the club and his personal surroundings. That's their sort of way of going about it. It would not surprise me because, like you said, obviously he's Victorian, but as we know and as we have seen, there are some teams in Victoria that are much better off than a lot of other teams. There's probably half of them are the we should go to this club teams, and the other half are not that. And we've seen recently with a few players are trying to get their way out of there and trying to not say it the Dogs. The Dogs aren't attracting the talent I think that they are looking for. So it would not surprise me if they were like, you know what, especially this year, like if our things pretty much combine in that the Dogs don't go very well, they might cut their losses and go, let's finish it up. Jamar, off you go. You can go and do whatever you want kind of thing. We'll reset, go again. They've got some good young guys. They can get some more good young guys. I don't hate that at all.
Thanks.
My next one is I haven't really got one that can then like link to the next bit, so we're just gonna just ignore it.
Oh no, this is just number 2.
That's fair. You know what? Actually, here we go. Kind of linked it in. Talking key forwards, right? Now, last year we were just talking about this before we started. Last year, the one bold prediction that we got right was that the D's weren't going to be very good. We both said they both weren't going to be very good, and they weren't. This year, however, I'm going to put a bit more of a positive spin on the D's, and I'm looking at their key forward in Jacob van Rooyen. I think this man is finally hitting his next sort of level of what he needs. Melbourne have not had a good key forward for a very long time, as we know. They won a flag where Bailey Fritsch was like their key forward, and that's pretty. It's amazing to be able to do that. To be honest, well played. But I think this year, with the talent they have available, I think Clayton Oliver's going to get better than he was last year. I think when Track comes back properly, he's going to be obviously good. I think Jacob van Rooyen's going to get really, really good service, and I think this is going to be a great year for him. I'm picking Jacob van Rooyen to kick more than 50 goals this year.
Wow.
He only had 38. I think it was 38 goals in 2024, which is still a good output. There's no doubt about that. I think Jacob van Rooyen takes the next step to becoming one of the better key forwards in the comp. I think people have forgotten about him a little bit. Which I don't think he needs to, because he has proven that he is really good. And when he was younger, he did amazing things. I think Jacob van Rooyen is going to kick 50 goals this year and be very, very good for the D's.
I have a feeling a few of that will happen this year. I do like that selection. I have a feeling a few players will be on the brink of kicking that 50-plus mark, and they'll be the younger type. And I had a predictions video with Port fans earlier, and that came out this week, and someone said Mitch Georgiadis would kick 50, and the bloke came off an ACL and ended up kicking near 40 this year in 17 games. So I like that. I think, and if they're going to be half decent this year, the D's, I think he has to, really. So absolutely. I love that. Can't really link someone to a key forward role, but my number 2 is someone that I also think will develop into someone that's going to stand out from the rest. And he sort of went on the radar in 2024 because there's so many midfielders that are coming of age and developing into key personnel that everyone links. And I think this bloke's sort of been forgotten since he's been injured. And there's a lot of talk around him at the moment with being traded and links to clubs in Victoria. But I think Matt Rowell will finish top 3 in the Brownlow this year. That is, he had 25 votes in 2024. He finished equal 8th. Went under the radar. The Gold Coast only won 11 or 12 games last year. And if he's having a year like we all expect him to, you combine that with the linkage to potentially being traded to a Geelong or somewhere else. Players always play well in a year where they're linked to clubs. So I feel like Matt Rowell's going to have a top 3 sort of year in the Brownlow. And if the Gold Coast Suns, and you and I hope, because we rode the Gold Coast train together and on the glass table, if he's to have a year that's anywhere like last year and the Gold Coast win more games, he's a real smoky.
I love that pick. I absolutely love that pick.
Not a reference to his hair.
That's even better. I love that pick because when I was making my sort of extended list for this, that was there. That was on my sort of extended list. I ended up, this is funny because I could pick 2 different ones that I could link this with, but I'll talk about that in a second. I ended up picking a different player that I'll touch on in a moment. But I think Matt Rowell, you are absolutely right. The Brownlow loves a contested midfielder. We've seen it in the last couple of years. Obviously, Matt Rowell had a great Brownlow year this year. Joe Newcomb did really, really well. Like these sorts of in and under just grunt, like these guys that really sort of hit hard, tackle hard, are well placed, tend to do really, really well. And I think if Gold Coast are to be good, he will be good. And I think him and Noah Anderson complement each other perfectly. I think the whole situation, the whole setup that is that lineup sets him up perfectly for a really, really good year. And I think he really suits Dimmer as well. Like I think he's just got that style of play. So I love that. I will link this to the one that I was going to say with the other player that I picked to be a top 3 in the Brownlow. This one might be a bit more interesting, but I think Max Holmes is going to be a top 3 Brownlow medal contender this season. The reason I think that is because I think he's about to take the Errol Goulden route of being an absolute freak on that wing. And he has already been amazing, Max Holmes. He has already been unbelievable, been Geelong's best player. Absolutely, he has been in that conversation already. And I think he's going to take that level and that step. I think the Cats are going to be good again. And I think Max Holmes is going to be the reason why. I think he's going to be like Errol Goulden and get just those 40 touches, kick a few goals a week. Like a very, very good footballer is Max Holmes. And I think he is going to do that thing where, last year's 2023, Errol Goulden was right up in that Brownlow count up until the last round. And I think it's going to be similar for Max Holmes this year. I think he's going to finish in top 3 in the Brownlow.
I love that selection. And I'm a big Max Holmes fan, as you know. I
Yeah,
love,
if anyone's listening, big Max Holmes fans over here. Yeah.
yeah, that's putting it PG. Because I think he's an outright superstar. And I love the way we talk about how Geelong are old and, brittle, as some say, but always get the job done. Love their youngsters.
Yep.
We talk Max
Lawson
Holmes.
Humphreys. Yeah.
Yeah, or Lawson Humphreys, Ollie Dempsey. These players are coming of age, and I think Max Holmes is going to be exceptional. And I think playing on that wing role, if he kicks more goals this year, like Errol has been able to
Yep.
put into his game, then Geelong are dynamically more dangerous, and that's huge for them. I think they'll be around the mark again this year anyway. But I love that. I love that selection for your number 3. My third bold prediction is a big one because, well, these all should be big because they're bold predictions. But linking with like the younger side of things, and I feel like this bloke is underrated when it comes to this year's draft. And I love the way I've been able to see him firsthand in preseason and the way he moves and the way he's been able to adapt the way he plays. And I love how it links to a modern day great we've seen at Port Adelaide as well. But my prediction is Joe Barry will win the Rising Star. I know this draft haul is incomparable to any other draft pool, as they say. And this is why I think he's underrated. And I love the fact that he's got a unique perspective on footy because he's a small forward. He's been picked up by, and I say Modern Day Great and Robbie Gray. And the way they compare him is he can play high half forward, and we've seen players like Ollie Dempsey started his year last year as a high half forward, moved on to the wing. These players can adapt and develop inside a year, and it's great to see in the modern day footy world. And that's why I think he'll win the Rising Star. And it's, a little bit of bias, and it's a bold prediction. I don't have to sit and go, he'll win the Rising Star. I couldn't give a stuff about the 18 different Richmond players that got picked up. I just think he's got a unique perspective, and I love a difference in footy. And that's what wins you games, and that's what wins you moments. Joe Barry's got that difference, I think.
I like that. That is very, very bold. Absolutely. Especially going in with like we said, the draft pool that has, we all know how good it is. We all know how good it's going to be. And I think that's the good thing about this draft though, as well, is that at the time it was kind of like you could look at the top 10 and they're all really good and then it kind of drops off. But then you look at it all now and you're like, actually, no, like there's some really good footballers and towards the middle to the end of that first round, even start of the second round, like the Whitlock brothers and things like that. I like it. I think it's good. And I think it's actually not all that out of the realm of possibility because Richmond had 8 in the top 20 or whatever, something stupid. So they're all kind of take each other's storm a little bit and kind of like, do whatever. So I don't hate that at all. I think that's very, very interesting. And it's a good pick. I like it. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it was also a good pick for Port, so
well played.
But what's your number 4?
My number 4, I'm trying to figure out which one of these two that I want to do next. I'll go with this one first. I think we've spoken about this team already in this one, and we have spoken about them at length over time. And I reckon I've said this every year for the past 5 years, but I fully think this year might be the one. Finally, I think the Gold Coast Suns will be playing in at the very least, a home final, which basically means I think Gold Coast will finish in the top 6. Every year, there is one team that is not expected to be good that ends up being a really, really good side. I wanted to say that I think Gold Coast will be in the top 4. I really wanted to, but I'm slightly turned off by it. I don't know about it. But every year, there is that one team. There was Collingwood a few years ago, Hawthorn last year, the Giants the year before that. There has always been a year where there's one team. And I think this year it's Gold Coast. People have tipped Gold Coast to play in the finals, and they have the list capable of it. But I think everybody on that list is still ready to take another step up. Noah Anderson, we know how good he is. We know how good Matt Rowell is. We know how good Ben King is. I think Mac Andrew continues to step up. I think Sam Flanders continues to step up. I think these guys that are coming through and had really good years last year are going to just be better. Because you think about it, They win 2 of those away games that they should have last year, and they're playing finals. And how tight that top 8 was, they would not have looked out of place at all. You put them against the Dogs in the first round, they probably would have beat them. That's my thing. I think Gold Coast are ready to be there properly now. And they have a great coach. Dimmer Hardwick has proven he can win flags. Gold Coast, at the very minimum, we're playing a home elimination final at the minimum this year.
You know, it was very, very interesting is the fact that I really wanted to do that as well. But I just, it almost become, the way it is with the Gold Coast Suns, it was a bold prediction. And then they've become so fickle in trying to make the 8 that it's not a bold prediction. But then it's like, it's almost like each side's a bold prediction, but they're in the middle.
Yeah, so you have to pick them to be really, really good or really, really bad. Because if you pick them to be in the middle, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So, like, that's, yeah, I know. It's tough.
I think this is the year, though. Like you mentioned last year, they could have won. I love the prospect of them making a top 6 and making a home final because I think people whatever they bloody call it these days, whatever happens is if they play a home final there, it is unique. Their home final is very different to any other home final because of the predicament of the weather, the placement, and everything else. We saw it with like opening round, like how different it made going from one place to the other. Like Richmond got pumped and then they came home to the G and they nearly nearly beat Carlton. So it's like the adjustment of playing at the Gold Coast compared to home is very different. So I think I like that a lot. And speaking of Richmond, leads into my number 4 bold prediction for the year. Now, I tossed and turned with making this bold prediction. And I know they picked up 10 million under 18s. And I'll tell you what I tossed and turned with because I thought it was quite funny. But my bold prediction for Richmond this year is they'll win more than 2 games this year. And it might not think it's a lot, but we're talking about a team that's basically could qualify for the TAC Cup. Like this team is young. It's going to have time to. Adamuze's got a handful, but it's very exciting. And I'm looking forward to watching Richmond purely for the fact that we're going to watch individuals develop their career compared to, they've got no expectation. And that's the best part about the Tigers. They have nothing. They've got there's not one dot point on the whiteboard in that room saying we've got to do this or that. It is an easy year for them in terms of they can go out there, play their best, and whatever happens, happens. They're developing kids. So I think they're going to win more than 2 games this year. They'll catch a few teams off guard. They're going to get a West Coast at home or a North Melbourne somewhere, or you know what? They bet Adelaide in Adelaide. So everyone's talking a bit about Adelaide, and who knows? So originally, I was going to make a bold prediction of Richmond will win more games than St Kilda, just to, poke the bear a bit, because St Kilda's injuries are getting quite, damaging. I was getting quite intrigued about the prospect of that, but I didn't want to be too bold with Richmond because eventually it gets out of whack. So Richmond will win more than 2 games this year. So I'm excited for them.
This is actually insane, right?
Oh no.
Because twice in that did I think we were on the exact same page, right? So my reaction when you watch this back, when you're editing this, and you say the Richmond win 2 games thing, my brain nearly fucking exploded, okay? And then when you said the second one where you said they're going to win more games than St Kilda, I again thought you were going to say the exact same thing because right here, written in my notes page, is Richmond will win the same amount of games, if not more, than North Melbourne, right? The exact thing that is written on here, which is insane to me. So twice in there, I thought you were going to say exactly what I was about to say next as my number 5. And you just, as you were speaking, I was like, these are all the points that I just had in my head about what I think was going to be the 5th. So, yes, I completely agree in that There is nothing, no expectation whatsoever. There is zero chance that Adam Uze gets sacked this year. So he can rock up to round one and be like, let's just try something, you know? Nobody there is expecting him to do anything. They have, like we said, the entire TAC Cup side out there pretty much. No one knows what to think. No one knows no one knows how they're going to play. No one knows what they're going to play like. No one knows anything about any of these players. They will 100% catch a few teams off guard. And I've seen people be like, are Richmond going to win a game this year? Absolutely they will. There is no way in the world do they not win a game at all. But I think they are better than North. And I think this is more an indictment on the North Melbourne Football Club than anything else, because I think they have drafted poorly this year and have made a silly, silly error. And they traded away next year's future first round pick for a pick in this year's draft in the first round again, because they wanted two this year, which gives me the assumption that they think in their own head they are going to be better than 14th. And I don't think they will be. I think they will still not be great. I think they have too many of the same midfielders. I think their back line isn't very good. I think their forward line isn't very good. They have some good players around there, absolutely, but every team does. So I think Richmond will win more games than North Melbourne.
So North Melbourne drafted Finn O'Sullivan, Matt Whitlock, Luke Urquhart, and River Stevens.
That Finn Matt Whitlock one was a mistake. Fine. And I also think that they picked the wrong midfielder with Finn O'Sullivan. There was about 10 midfielders that were big-bodied midfielders that would suit a play style more, and they picked the one that isn't that big-bodied.
That's not a bold prediction, but a bold statement in itself from you, and I love that. And they really rate the Whitlocks in general. Yeah, and and look, I mean, if you think about the Roos in general, they won 3 games last year. Could have possibly won 5 or 6 on a couple of results, especially when we look at the Collingwood one where they were 50 points up. You know, we look at these scenarios and it's like they could be better, and they've traded in, they've gone after. I honestly believe in that a little bit, that they will be a bit better. They have the capability there. They won't win. I'm not talking 8 or 9. They might add 2 more wins, but that gets them into and possibly out of that bottom 2. So crazy to think, but I love that bold statement in itself that they drafted wrong.
I think they made 2 pretty critical errors in that they picked the wrong midfielder, and then they traded away what I think is going to be another top 3 pick next year, and they're not going to have that next year now. And I don't think they're good enough yet. I think they've made a mistake in trading out of a draft that they're still going to be featured really high in, and they're going to try and be forced to go back into it now. I just think, I don't. This bold prediction was more a North Melbourne thing than anything else. I don't think North are going to be as good as they think they're going to be. Inside the club, North think they are a lot better than what it is, which could be saying something. That could be a good thing. They think they're a lot better than.
They have to.
Yeah, and 100%. But I just think it was an error in their ways. And
so that was an error. It was more of a misjudgment of what they have.
Yes, I think it's a misjudgment of the talent that they have. Also, the fact that they might not have some of the stars that are there next year. LDU could be on his way. You know, like there is every opportunity that these players aren't there. You know, Luke Parker is already at the end of his career kind of thing. They'll have him for 1, maybe 2 years.
They brought in, obviously, Jack Darling as well, Caleb Daniel, and Jacob Constantine, and relisted Toby Pink.
That's big, actually. I forgot about that. Never mind. They're finishing top
8. Speaking of the top 8.
Here we go.
And that was a beautiful, bold prediction to finish yours for 2025. But my bold prediction, and this is the biggest bold prediction, this is number 5. This is the one I wrote down, and I was like, far out, man. I don't know if this might or might not nail it. And we've been pretty big on teams to make the 8 or not. my bold prediction for 2025 is that the GWS Giants will not play finals.
Oh, that is big. That is big.
I know a team with straight sets impacts. We've seen the D's be impacted after a couple of straight sets exits. We saw Port Adelaide, not straight sets. They bounced back, finished another top two, and managed to not go through, make a prelim. But also they have made prelims and failed. The Giants have been prelim, failure in a semi. They have been the team that, just as much as poor in a sense, has failed to make the most of the opportunities they've had. I think with losing a couple of not depth players, but players on that fringe and players a year older, talk about the Canilios, they've had constant injuries. And whilst they have the Coleman medalist and Jesse Hoger, they have numerous amounts of talent, great aura about them on and off the field, fantastic socials. But I don't know. I just do not believe that they are all what it is. I think they have the potential to slip up this year when the competition is so tight that you cannot afford to slip up in moments and have to make the most of the opportunities. And I think straight sets exit for them. And I love Adam Kingsley. I think he's a great coach, deserves a premiership, and I hope that he gets there one day. And who knows, it might be 2025. But in my personal opinion, the boldest of it is the fact that they won't play finals this year.
I don't hate it. I actually when you first said it, I was like, man, that's tough. I don't hate it. You are right in they lost a few depth players and everything like that. They obviously still have a lot of talent and a lot of proven talent as well, which I think is big. It's not just like they should be good. It's like they've had players that have proven they can be good. Last year, I'm just looking now at a few of the wins that they had and everything like that, and I can just think of a few sort of off the top of my head. They beat us. They beat St Kilda by a point thanks to a very late mark. They thumped teams early that weren't in good form. They thumped Collingwood that wasn't in good form. They had North and they had West Coast and they had Gold Coast. They had a relatively easy-ish run. They beat the Lions before they were good. But then you look at the teams that they played against, they lost. They lost to the Swans. They lost to the Dogs. They lost to the Hawks. They all weren't always competing against the absolute best of the best at the time. When that team was on, they couldn't really do anything about it. So I don't hate that in that it is a very close competition and it is very, very tight. So if somebody's got to fall out, that's the thing. There's always going to be changes. The top 8 is never going to stay the same year on year. Never, ever going to happen. Somebody has to fall out. Is it GWS? Maybe it is. Maybe they're not as good as it has turned out to be. People also forget that start of last year and the year before, no one tipped them to be good. And then they just happened to be better than they were. So I don't know.
They have the talent. I'm not saying they won't. It's more of a bold prediction from my end, and I don't want people to get figured. Oh, you think GWS won't make the 8? Oh, meh. No, I'm saying that if there's a prediction to be had, I think they quite potentially could be the left field option that people are forgetting. Everyone, and I can sit here now, and there's been people straight away they've got a reason for 3 teams to miss the 8. Hawthorn, Young, won't do it again. The Dogs falling off a cliff. They're lucky to get in last year. They won't make it. Port Adelaide's been the easiest selection of everyone. Oh, they lost Dan Houston. All of a sudden, they won't make the 8, even though they went all the way to a prelim with 6 games without Dan Houston. It's so many people have a safe prediction when it comes to the top 8. We look at last year, everyone was like, no, Melbourne will be right. No, Collingwood will be right. No, your premiers fell off a cliff. They got drunk and hung over. The D's fell off a cliff. It's a left field approach. It's one, if I gave my top 8 today, it would not be the same top 8 I'd predict when opening round starts in 30 days.
No, absolutely not. I think I put together in my notes somewhere a predicted one after like the trades or whatever it was, and I already know my one now would be different to that one. So it's going to be different now, and then it'll be different the day before opening round. It'll change all the way out. It'll probably change after that too, because I'll watch one game and I'll be like, whatever.
Exactly. This is why we look at it and we're always all of a sudden, let's do a mid-year ladder prediction. Let's do this and that, and then we're talking who makes the 8 4 rounds out. Like you can never properly predict it. That's why we call it bold predictions, and that's why the word prediction exists. Jared.
That is exactly it, because we don't come here claiming to know it all. We come here to say these things, and then when they happen, when one of them maybe happens, we can come back and be like, we are so good. Look at this. But when the other 4 don't hit, you're like, oh.
Yeah, and Matt Rowell's, not playing for a year, and Richmond don't win a game. Joe Perry plays 8 games. Joe Murray, Ugelhagen signs a long-term deal, and GWS end up winning the flag. Like it's a
Gold Coast finished 15th, and Luke Beveridge is the premiership coach, and Van Rooyen kicks like 18 goals, and Max Holmes wins the Brownlow.
Who knows? Someone wins the Rising Star, and you're wrong about North. Like it's a
yikes. That'll be a big one that'll blow off my face. I have this horrible feeling that one day Finn O'Sullivan is going to be known as one of the greatest players in the AFL, and someone is going to come back to me and be like, "You were wrong."
Hey, well, he could be the greatest player ever, but he could do it. They all said the same about Jason Horne-Francis, and he might be the greatest player of that draft, but he's not at North, is he?
Not at North.
No, he's the black mark until, chief. Anyway, that's been our bold predictions, and this is why we talk about it here, because it's the glass table, and this is what you'll do with all your friends and all your mates at the pub with a beer or wherever you do, because that's footy. We like talking about it, so we can't wait to persist with it this year, Jared.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be very good, and like you said, these are we have the conversations just that everyone else is having at their own houses or pubs or whatever the case may be. We just have them here, and it's always good fun, and we do it so that we can put our necks on the line and be like, this is what we think is going to happen. And then eventually when it blows up in our face, people can come back and yell at us. And you know what? That's okay, because engagement bait. So thank you very much.
Nick Dacos is the greatest player of all time.
Yeah. Gary Ablett Jr. who? Nick Dacos on the way. That actually hurt me to say physically. That was one of those ones where, like, as soon as I said it, I was like, that actually really hurt me. So
yeah, no, that's an outrageous statement. It's not even a bold statement. That's just
a wrong statement, is what that is.
That's just a bit of David King fireball action.
All those tears.
Poor bloke. He won't like the North Melbourne comment either. But anyway, we hope you enjoyed this edition of the 2025 Bold Predictions. You can catch us in a few weeks when we start up at the pod for 2025. Go check out our top 10 players that we predict for 2025 as well. And that's about it, really. Give us a follow on the socials. Is there anything else we should add, Jared? Stay stupid sexy, huh?
That was good. I actually, wait, before this ends, if anybody is still watching this, I have one more bold prediction. It's not even a bold prediction. Let me get real close. I can categorically guarantee the Essendon Football Club will not win a final this year. The streak will continue for another 600 days.
That's just
not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not even a bold prediction. It's a statement. It is what is happening. They are not winning one. Sorry, everybody.
The 8 ball's gone flat. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for plenty more content to come your way. We will see you next time.
Yeah.